Hello and welcome to another live broadcast. I hope you're all doing well as we start off the new year. This is going to be a special episode because I'm joined by Aaron and Dave from the Elevated News podcast with Two Dope Dudes. You can check out their work at supportdopepeople.com. I'll have that link in the show notes if that's easier for you. You can find all of my work at colememo.com. Since we are live, feel free to drop your questions or thoughts in the comments. We may feature and address them on screen. We might even open up the phone lines later for callers, so stay tuned for that. If you're catching this episode later and you're wondering how to catch the show live, I'd say the best way is to just head on over to colememo.com/YouTube and subscribe to my channel. That way, you'll never miss a stream. This podcast is also available for streaming on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other podcasting platforms. And you can find all of my work, including the podcast, at colememo.com. Once again, today I'm joined by Aaron and Dave from supportdopepeople.com. We've done crossover episodes like this in the past, and we usually call them Three Dope Dudes because, well, it just makes sense. So you can find those episodes that we've done together so far at colememo.com/2dope. That's the number 2dope. So tonight we are going to be looking at some of our favorite cannabis stories from the year of 2025 right here on
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
I mean, you have to respect the memo.
Aaron and Dave. Welcome back to the show. We're doing this Three Dope Dudes thing again. I've been so excited for it. How are you guys doing today?
Good,
Man.
brother. How are you?
Good. Really good.
Doing well. Smoking some nice hash and hanging out with some friends. Like life couldn't be any better. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. And I'm displaying it on screen right now in case it helps. Once again, it's supportdopepeople.com. I know we're cross streaming, so some of your listeners already know who you are.
Yep.
But just in case some of my listeners don't, why don't both of you go ahead and give yourselves an intro, plug your YouTube channels, and then we'll have some fun and recap 2025.
Dave, you want me to go first? Dave and I are the Two Dope Dudes. Dave has worked in the medical cannabis community for a number of years. I am a medical cannabis caregiver. I care about taking care of people who need it. We both care about the power of the plant. We have some unique insights with our experiences tangentially, and we talk about what goes on in Illinois medical cannabis and Midwest stuff like that. And that's about it for me.
I am Dave. I've worked in the cannabis industry since 2015 in Illinois, once it finally became adult or medical, and I've worked through adult use. So I have seen quite a bit of cannabis use in the medicinal side. I love to represent cannabis as medicine, and you can find me on Peace, Love, and Cope on YouTube. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. I'm live. I just like to talk cannabis. If you have any questions about the consumption side of things, I would like to be the guy that helps you.
Hell yeah. Well, again, thank you both for joining me today. And I'll just say for like the third or fourth time, for my listeners, supportdopepeople.com. It's every Wednesday at like 12:15 that you guys drop a new episode. Sometimes you drop others.
Our show is generally Wednesday at 12:15 at Two Dope Dudes on YouTube. And then Support Dope People is just an easy link like thecolememo.com to find both of our works. So,
Sweet. Well, once again, in today's show, we're going to be recapping our top stories from 2025. And who wants to start today? I'll put a little bumper in between us, but Aaron, Dave, do you want to start? I've got my stories up as well. Aaron, you want to take the lead, or Dave?
Yeah, because I already know what Dave's going to talk about, and I think that's something that we all three could have a larger discussion about as well. So we can get my stuff out of the way, because I just and I sent you a couple links earlier. I think the Illinois cannabis sales total, how they started, we started seeing the shift in the numbers this year,
Yes.
dropping. And them trailing previous years, we're starting to see that quote unquote COVID boom kind of taper off in lots of industries, but specifically recreational cannabis in Illinois.
Sweet. All right, folks. Well, you heard it. We're about to dive in to start with the Illinois cannabis sales right here on the Cole Memo. We'll be right back. All right, I've got the story pulled up here, IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Big shout out to IllinoisNewsJoint.com.
Mm-hmm.
We just recently did an episode actually together, so folks, check out our most recent episode, which is episode 248. It features Aaron and Michael Lasley, who's actually, I believe, the managing editor at IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Anyways, I just wanted to make sure to give them their due respect and plugs. Aaron, tell us why this story caught your eye.
I'm a person who I talk about taxes a lot, because I wish that my taxes went to better things. And so I'm very critical about how my taxes are used. And so I have an interest in it. And I really think that this year, taxes in 2026, taxes are going to be a big issue, because we need to have a market that kind of supports continuing to use taxes for what we've been using them for in Illinois. Hence, they're a good indication of how healthy our market is. And what we're seeing here is that our recreational market is not as healthy as we're saying it is. And, I think it's important to look at the numbers and say, especially like you were just talking about the last episode with Michael Lasley, we're talking about all these new craft licenses that are supposed to come online this year. How do we support that? Like the numbers are very obviously showing us that the market is dwindling in Illinois, and people are not confident in what the products are, and they don't really want to participate. And even if we're, a new 40% tax in Michigan, people would rather go over there.
Yeah.
That's really what makes this, one of the top stories in 2025 for me.
Yeah. Somebody just echoed a thought that you said there at the end in the comments. And another thing you mentioned was what you kind of loosely mentioned this story, which basically says that the cannabis data change suggests much lower sales. So it was interesting, basically, and I know this is a story we'll talk about later. It kind of relates to a story we'll talk about, but the sales tracking features in Metric, our new seed to sales system, apparently help retailers more accurately and reliably report sales. And so a thorough review of past data indicated that prior months collected some pre-discount prices. In other words, the data was wrong. What were you going to say, Aaron?
I think Dave could actually, I think we talked about this a while ago. I think Dave might be able to speak to that.
What's that?
We're talking about this cannabis data change and how like Metric, when we switched to Metric, there was like a figure change, it seemed.
Yeah, I think
the
it's
pre-discount.
I think it was all pre-discount, and I think that they've been reporting on those numbers for a long time to try to bolster some of the numbers. But I don't know that it's ever been beneficial for anybody necessarily. I think I mean, it might benefit the state if the state's getting taxed based off of that number comparatively to the discounted number. That might be something, but as far as I've kind of seen this thing and looked around and talked to people on it, um, everybody says that it was either a massive oversight by every company that's ever or that runs in the state, or it was just bad tracking by BioTrack, really, and it was more that BioTrack was tracking based off of pre-discount numbers, which again, in my experience in the cannabis industry, especially with people who use these tracking systems that sit on top of BioTrack, I forget what the name of it is. I'll come up with it in a minute, but they're aggregators of data. So they just pull the data in, they look at the numbers, and they kind of interpret that instead of actually doing the math behind it. Because we're not an industry of mathematicians by no means. We're an industry of lawyers and prosecutors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And C-suites,
Yeah,
suits.
A lot of suits.
Yeah.
Yep. The suits, they're above the law.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts just on, Illinois cannabis sales? Like you say,
I mean,
there's
it really leads into the fact that, I mean, now that we are switched over to metric, we will be able to better track this. I don't necessarily think that's going to be true. I think, like similar to what I said last Wednesday, we're renaming the goalposts and then saying that what we're doing now is good. Before it was bad, but if we just rename the numbers or just kind of distract about it, then we can just say it's still good. I don't think it's going to end up that way. I don't think metric is going to be the answer.
Gotcha. Well, maybe that's a good segue to metric, and unless we have any other thoughts on just like the yearly totals. I mean, again, I think that headline is notable, and I just want to read it one more time. Illinois cannabis sales for the first time trail previous yearly totals. What were you about to say, Aaron?
And this was all the way back in April. This wasn't
Gotcha.
even, this is not even current. This is back in April. This is not even to talk about what we saw the year-end numbers end up at, So, it very early on this year, April is still pretty early. That's still like quarter two, right? I think. So
that's not a compression thing either.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like we're
not
seeing
because prices have gone down, so people are spending less. Prices have stayed consistent. They might have gone down $1 or $2, but that doesn't equate for tens of millions of dollars of different numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys know, real quick, I guess, before we segue away from this, like have the numbers? I know you usually follow the numbers, especially since Illinois News Joint usually reports the numbers. Have they crept back up towards the end of 2025? Again, thank you for pointing that out, Aaron. That was from April of 2025, that was early on in the year, I guess is my point. Have we looked at the figures since then? Are they relatively on track from what you can tell? Or it's not something I usually pay attention to, but I was curious because I know that you guys do report on those numbers.
Let me throw, I think here's the November Illinois News Joint.
If I'm not wrong, once metric came about, it ruined their overall monthly totals, and now it looks way worse than it did at the end of last year.
This was the last reporting by our great friends over at Illinois News Joint did on it. And as you see here, what was it? Starting in May, June, July. So we greatly because it was supposed to be tracked better, which I believe that leads into the report that you had from New Cannabis Ventures.
Yeah. This, if folks are wondering, this headline is what Aaron, that I'm displaying on my screen right now, that's what Aaron was referencing. Wow. So this makes me wonder, and I think you guys asked the same question. Does that just mean that all of that old data from BioTrack is wrong?
Does that
Or
mean
not.
this state hasn't been taxing itself correctly? Have we been overtaxing
Have
ourselves?
they been overtaxed? Like there's
Does-
so many.
Does the state owe the taxpayers money? No.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not gonna get it back, but
Well, I mean, they talked about giving it back. Well, that was from the application for the medical cards. They were talking about giving that back at one point, and then I think that just got moved over to the general fund, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it got. I would say a number of it got moved over to the
Yeah.
Cannabis Business Fund.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. Just while it's relevant and we're up, we'll just take a brief tangent because I recently shared. Well, I thought I recently shared some information on it. Maybe it's on my personal page, but I actually shared exactly what you're talking about, where one of our legislators said, hey, this program was never really. So this is Illinois Representative Bob Morgan. He's been on the show in the past. He's credited as running the medical program sort of in its original state. He said, I believe it's time for med patients to get a refund from the state. I say this as someone who bears responsibility for the patient registration fees you pay. When I helped create the medical cannabis program 6 years ago, we used our best guess about how much it would cost the state to run the program. The state was not supposed to make money from the medical cannabis program. It was only supposed to cover costs for staff, equipment, and IT. But more money is coming in than is needed, a lot more. There is currently $28 million, largely from patient fees in the medical cannabis fund right now. Just remember that. This is from patient fees. You know, the sick people that this program started with. I'm just saying that for my listeners. My proposed legislation, link below, this was a post from 2020, so it's been a while since this, had been discussed, will give at least $20 million back to you. After all, it is your money. This should result in at least $250 back in your pocket. These were the days of the stimulus packages, if you remember. And or what did they call them? Not stimulus package, but you get your Trump check or whatever. Remember, what I'm talking about, the COVID stimulus. That's
COVID stimulus.
And darn, we just said that word. Hopefully we don't get shadow banned. Anyways, he says, obviously, this is likely going to have to wait until spring 2021, but I promise I'll do everything in my power to get it done. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you pardon me for taking this long on this. And I do pardon him for the work that he's done, but I just wanted to say that, yes, $40 million, if you can see to the right here. And this was reported by Illinois News Joint and other outlets. $40 million were transferred from the Cannabis Fund to the Cannabis Development Fund, which is used for cannabis business development,
right?
Which I just think is crazy. I'll put it
do
bluntly.
not forget, November 25th, 2020. That's like, we're talking rec legalization time. A lot of people may not remember or may not know that the fees to get a medical card pre-rec were pretty high.
$100 a year.
I mean,
$250 for 3 years.
Yeah. Well,
Doctors' fees.
Doctors' fees. We're talking $500-$600. We're still talking like having to get fingerprints.
Exactly.
I was just fingerprints, background. Like this is an exorbitant amount for some people. $250 is like that's the cost of like half a year of of a card for somebody who's been doing it for how many years,
Yeah, and I mean, people on supplemental incomes, nonetheless, people who are
having to drive hours to still 55 medical dispensaries.
Yeah, it's gross.
It is gross.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, any other thoughts on Illinois sales data, the revenue? Thank you for bringing up that question. It's nice to remind people. I know that's from 2020 and we're talking about 2025, but this is all relevant. So I saw you got this next story. We can move to it in a bit, but I did want to give you space. Any other thoughts just on sales, revenue, all that good stuff?
I mean, this was, I don't have anything more on revenue.
Okay. Want to hop over to that next story then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, I'll read the headline and then I'll pass it over to what, pass it over to you to tell us why this stood out to you. So it's by MJ Biz Daily. We'll have all these links in the show notes, folks. Illinois halts adult use marijuana retail licensing to boost social equity. So just at a high level, I recall this. Yeah, Representative Ford basically said that we're going to halt licensing new cannabis stores. Another 103 licenses have been awarded, but few have managed to scrap together the capital to open up their doors. And so the state will apparently hold off on the remaining 137 stores allowed under the current cap to, quote, help social equity get their footing and to bring in principal investors, end quote, Ford said. I have a question, but I'll save it for a second. What stood out to you about this? Why'd this make your list?
This goes back to me talking about the health of the Illinois market. Again, as an actual caregiver in Illinois, it's my job to assist my patient, my person in deciding and or administering cannabis for what the thing is. So I care about the health of the market in Illinois, and we've been in the program since 2017, and so I've seen all this change and all this wreck, and I see where the market's headed, and I don't see how it's sustainable, and I don't see how we can continue to open more grows and more dispensaries and have the same amount of taxes and continue to see the prices go down. Like it's like I said to you on Wednesday, I don't complain. We don't complain because we want to think that we're better than other people. We point out these things because we want it to be better for everybody. So we have to point out what these issues are so we can get past the issues, figure them all out together, and get them fixed for the people, because that's what it's for. It's for the people. It's for the sick people that Governor Quinn signed this for, right? It's for people who are suffering that this is supposed to be for. So why are we not being compassionate anymore? Why are we only concerned about taxes and regulation?
Well said. Dave, you got any thoughts?
No, I mean, I obviously, me and Aaron kind of feel the same way about all of these things. I've always been more for the free market, allow the market to do what it's going to do. I'm not against caps of things, but like, as you have reported on before, and as I've been talking about recently, all of these arbitrary caps that they keep making up aren't being abided by from the biggest players in the game. So they are monopolizing a lot of things in their own favor. And I think that's kind of like the saddest part of this for me. I see, limits of 10 dispensaries per group, and we've only got 260 of them open. So it only takes 26 groups to fill that up. We have 21, or is it 20, 21, 22 big licenses that are, 220,000 square foot cultivation centers. They're the most vertically integrated groups out there. So like they've all tried to absorb 10 things themselves. I think that it's just been hard for the social equity group that they've called the social equity group that they've allowed into this industry to even be able to compete, because they're almost playing a different game. There's some people that are playing, for massive levels of keeps and trying to box everybody out and buy up their licenses. And then there's the people who really would like to do it, the yous and the me's of the world, who are like, yeah, if it's available in the state that I live in, if we have the capital to invest in, to make the infrastructures and to buy the buildings, and we have the know-how how to run the business, why wouldn't we be able to do it? And it's because of these caps that they keep putting on things, whether they call them for good or not. I don't see the good in it. Not allowing the market to be free and to have people, participate in it makes it tough for it to grow.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And yeah, my question was going to be, I didn't know like how can they, and I don't know if it's in the fine print here, and I haven't had a long chance to really, this story came out earlier this year. I just forget how they can, like, I'll just say do this just to get right to the point. Like so LaShawn Ford is saying we're going to halt the licenses. I mean, he's quoted as saying that, but like, I'm unclear if this was part of a proposal that he had that didn't go anywhere. And so it, in other words, the bets are off or whatever the hell he's talking about. Because I remember, he's had a few proposals over the years. And so I'm just unclear here, like, if what is being said here, do you understand what I'm saying? If what is being said here actually even carries weight today, or if it was part of a proposal he put forth that died. And so it, like, never came to be,
Yeah, I mean,
I can't
don't
remember.
know. Yeah, I don't remember either. And it is if they're saying that it's halted and they're not going to allow the other ones, I do not see the state of Illinois jumping back into it and just handing out a bunch of dispensary licenses, unless there are groups that have proven that they're capable of doing enough business or whatever it is, where the state gives them a nod to go over their 10, right? Because I know that that's something that I've talked about a little bit recently, and we've seen it, right? Whether it's through management groups or from the latest one that I'm hearing, that the state is just going to allow groups to have their name on more than 10 buildings, supposedly. I don't know if that's going to be, like whatever they call it, pie in the sky, powered by, the brand that they represent the most, right? I don't know if that's how that's going to go or not, but from an inside source, somebody who is in it, doing it, making it happen, part of the thing, he said the group that I work for is going to get 20 licenses. They will get up to 20 by the time this is all said and done, and their name will be on all of the buildings. So,
I've always been stumped by that one because we've talked. Yeah, like it seems like the law is clear. That as you just said, I'll put it shortly, Dave. Like, you are supposed to have in Illinois, you can have a maximum of 3 cultivation centers and a maximum of 10 dispensaries.
directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
I get caught up on those words. I was just about to get there because it's like, this seems pretty direct, or one could argue indirect. But like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like I said, one of my favorite things that I watched you report on, and one of my favorite interviews that I've watched you do, was with that rep when you were like, so does it say directly or indirectly or not? Like, why are they allowed to be in possession of more than that number? And even government officials are like, well, I'll have to look into it. Give me time. They don't really know. And even if they did know, what are they going to do about it? Because it's clearly already happened. It's more like one of those things like, we'll do it and then we'll ask for forgiveness eventually. And I don't know. It seems weird.
I'll just say the backstop to all this that's really sort of just adds another layer here is the fact that licensing information is not public, because this is the thing. We can see all this stuff and we can draw these conclusions and be like, what the heck? How are these people able to do that? But sorry, somebody just said my state wants to arrest you still for cannabis. Well, in one of our stories we'll discuss later, so is ours, where it's legal. So thank you. Somebody else already said that. My thing is, if this licensing information was open, just like any other pretty much any other license in the state. Like, I don't know if you've ever read through an IDFPR report where they give out discipline reports. My friend
Oh,
Phil and
yeah.
I did it in the past, and it's interesting because every once in a while there's a dispensary one, like let's say, and this is like in this year, I think there were 4 sales to minors,
Yep.
not coal miners, by the way. I know people in the comments were saying apparently that's the new, but I'm talking like people under 18. There were 4 minors that had sales, and so that information is open public. You can see the people that not only had the license but who got disciplined for that. You can the point is like most licensing is open, and when it hasn't been in the past, especially in Illinois in the case of casinos, it's not gone well. Just do some of your own research on that exact topic, folks. The point is like the information should be public, and then it would actually help, I think, the regulators do their job, because then, like, I'm not saying I would be able to connect the dots because I am not like some of these actual investigative journalists. But the thing is an actual investigative journalist would be able to put together the dots and be like, I mean, this seems pretty direct or indirect. And they could say it with certainty because all that but you can't right now. You can't right now. So I'll stop going on about
Chris,
that. But
Chris Brady, you're not wrong. Once you guys can have edibles that are flavored other than peach, then absolutely you will be in line with Illinois. But until then, you're right. You're right. We are light years ahead of a lot of places in the South. A lot of places with prohibition. A lot of places will still throw you in jail and ruin your life for a gram of dried bud, which is dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
other parts of the world will still off you for this thing.
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
be held for life.
Yep.
And not only held for life, but they can take your life for the possession or the distribution of cannabis in many other places. So,
Nah, Penny Hearts is cool. Chris Brady's cool. Miggy, you're cool too. We love all
everybody.
of you.
We're all cool here.
We're all cool.
Here's what I'll say, and this
You
is
might
what
need
I
a
always say.
joint.
This is what I always say when people say, Cole, you're complaining, and I live in another state, and I wish that we had at least what you have. And I say, you're absolutely right, and I'm extremely thankful for the progress we've made, because we're live on the fucking internet right now, and I'm just blazing it. And I would not have done this if not for the progress we've made. I would not tell you that I grow my own. I don't currently grow my own weed. I've got seeds that I'm ready to pop because I want to get back at it, if you know what I'm saying. But I would not say that right now if it weren't for the progress we've made. So, like, applause for that. Like, I'm really happy for that. Like, and I don't say it enough, honestly, because we're kind of used to the progress and we want more. But that's the thing. Like, how do you get more unless you keep pushing the line? And I understand what you're saying. You guys aren't here yet, but one day you will be, and maybe we'll have plowed the way for you, because that's kind of the way some of these things have gone. The state laws are pretty similar. And so if we can normalize an increase of access, by the time Georgia gets their head on their shoulders, let's say, maybe you'll have a great cannabis law right off the bat. I hope you do.
I mean,
and that's why we're fighting for what we fight for.
Georgia's starting to expand for sure. They have some weird stuff going on right now. Like, you can only have edibles that are flavored like peaches, and that's what I mean by that. But like, there are southern states starting to expand, and you're right. We have to continue to push the culture, and we have to continue to normalize talking about the plant, and normalize talking, and especially now more than ever with rescheduling coming, supposedly, taking your health back in your own hands and using this plant to its potential, so that your health can be to its fullest potential, whether it's mental, physical, or whatever.
Well said.
It's all coming.
Well said. And I think this is a good segue to another story, since we're on the topic. I'm going to transition to one of my stories. And I will also just say that this story is a really recent one. It just came out within the last month, so it made my list for the top stories in 2025. I will just say that I think it relates to what we're talking about, and it's something that I really tried to focus on. in my mini documentary, which you can find at colememo.com/minidoc, free to stream. Let's watch this report that relates to a subject, like I say, that I focus on in the mini doc. And, I see like somebody just said like a rapper sentenced to 10 years in Oklahoma for carrying 4 pounds in Bay Area. That would happen in Illinois too.
Yeah.
Marijuana or cannabis is still not federally legal, and even though it is permitted here in Illinois, tonight the NBC5 investigative team has found dozens of people still imprisoned here for marijuana crimes.
Investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy is here with that story. Chuck.
Alex Allison, with marijuana legal or decriminalized now in Illinois and most states, you'd think the big police pot bust would be a thing of the past. But tonight, NBC5 investigates the surprisingly high number of people who are locked up in Illinois prisons for cannabis crimes. Arrests and prosecutions for marijuana continue, and there is a pot prison population growing each year. In Illinois, you are unlikely to go to jail for this unless you are caught using it in public places, driving under the influence, possessing large amounts and selling it, or consuming while underage. And tonight, the NBC Chicago investigator.
And I want to pause right there just briefly because I should mention something that didn't make the cut that I just thought of, because some people might have heard driving under the influence. Of course, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, we had a lot of people get charged for driving under the influence that weren't even intoxicated. And I would just Google that. And I'm just going to cut it off there because we agree people shouldn't be driving intoxicated, but also we should have something to actually prove that. On with the report.
The investigative team has learned that dozens of people are imprisoned in Illinois directly for marijuana-related crimes. Our exam of this state prison data shows 94 men and women are currently locked up in state prisons for cannabis crimes, many for 4 or 5 year terms, but some for longer. Tonight, this man is serving out a 24-year sentence for cannabis trafficking. In 2010, Antonio Sustaita was pulled over by downstate police and found to be carrying more than 2,500 grams of marijuana. Despite marijuana being legalized during his sentence, the now 55-year-old Sustaita is behind bars tonight here at the Robinson Correctional Center, finishing up his 24-year marijuana sentence. His projected parole date, according to state records, is 5 weeks from tomorrow, after serving more than 2 decades. It is this kind of stiff punishment that Illinois State Representative LaShawn Ford of Chicago says is concerning, and that President Trump's reclassification of marijuana today does nothing to help.
There should be a social justice move, a criminal justice reckoning, so that this is no longer a harm to communities like the south and west sides of Chicago. And the criminal justice system has impacted many Black and brown people over the years in every state of America. And so if Trump is serious about doing something about cannabis, he would not just what you call reclassify, but he would declassify it and make sure that it is legal in America.
To that point tonight, state prison records show there are dozens of new prisoners being locked up in Illinois facilities each month to serve sentences for marijuana violations, in most cases for exceeding state laws that regulate how much marijuana you can have and where it can be consumed. Some Republican legislators in Washington tried to encourage President Trump not to loosen the reins on weed, telling the president it will worsen America's addiction.
All right. Well, that's about rescheduling, which I mean, I guess we can play through because I know we had that as a topic to cover. But I just, I will say that you can. I want to pass it over to you all to get your thoughts, but I'll just briefly say I'm planning to have somebody who's been on the show in the past back on to talk about this exact report. His name is Christian Reichert. He was one of these people. And fortunately, he got out, and he's been on the show in the past. You can watch it at colememo.com/isitlegal. Constantly asking that question here when you find stories like this. And he's not the only one. There are other stories there. And sorry, Genetic Memory Farms. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyways, your thoughts on the report. I know we all have strong feelings on the topic, and I'm curious, though, what y'all think.
The one thing that sticks out to me, and immediately once I saw it, that man is serving 24 years of a prison sentence for less than 6 pounds of possession. That is literally 6 of these things, less than 6 bottles of water worth of weight of something. So to criminalize somebody for that is the craziest thing in the world, especially when we can, I mean, it's public how much cannabis product is being sold in state systems, right? In legalized markets. People are cultivating hundreds of pounds per batch, and they're doing thousands of pounds per year. And this man had less than 6 and is serving a 24-year sentence for it. The math just doesn't math for me when it comes to imprisonment, with cannabis being the thing, right? I just don't know how somebody can get a license and sell thousands of pounds of it, and then but this guy is serving 24 years of a prison sentence. It's crooked, it's backwards, and it doesn't make sense. That's the only thing that I'll say, because it drives me nuts, Steve. And most cannabis possession charges are less than 10 pounds. Like, most people don't get busted with massive truckloads of cannabis, and 10 pounds of cannabis isn't even a truckload of it. But it bugs me that very small amounts of something are criminalized. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, for me, I mean, I've said for a long time that it's not legal in Illinois. We just have a highly regulated tax structure. And, the one thing that the government, whatever you decide what the government is, whether it's your bigger state or your local government, they want to get their taxes, and they're going to get it. And any way they want, any way they can, they're going to, be it through enforcement or taxation. They're going to come get it, and they've shown that they're going to continue to do that here in Illinois. Both tax it and enforce it, continue to enforce it, and make it so only a few people can contribute. And that always goes back to my, can the market support it? We have a very regulated market, and Illinois, J.B. Pritzker touts it as the most highly equitable market in the nation. Those are his own words, but like, how is the market actually, like, how healthy is the market really? It's not. It's not. And you can continue to look at the numbers, and we can say, oh, well, the numbers haven't been, right for the last 3 years because we just did metric 3 years ago. I'm assuming we're in the future, and it's some other thing, some other reason that, to point to that it's really much better, and you just don't understand how it works. And I just don't believe it. I think we should call it what it is now, and get them to change it, because it sucks.
Yeah, and people should fact check me on this. I displayed this quote from a person that's tuning in called Some Cat on the internet. I'm gonna
fellow memo, right there.
Fellow memo, absolutely. A fellow coal miner, I guess that's a new thing people were saying.
I like that one too.
That's pretty cool. So they say in Illinois, this is what they said the other night, but I'm displaying what they said tonight. It's similar though. Fact check this, folks, but I thought this was super interesting because I haven't Googled either. This is the reason I took a screenshot. They said in Illinois, marijuana-related arrests accounted for 34% of all drug-related arrests in 2024. In Arizona or California, such arrests typically comprise fewer than 5%.
Holy cow.
Offenses. That's the part that I really want to Google. Somebody Google that for me. Chris earlier said I need a producer. I definitely need like a producer, or if you guys have I haven't watched it in a while, but like the Joe Rogan Experience when he's like, Google that shit, Jamie. I need somebody.
Red band.
You need a Jamie. Yeah.
You need a red band.
Jamie. There we go.
Olive Garden butthole.
Jeez. That's funny. But you get what I'm saying. I thought that was an interesting little stat, if true, and it was kind of
it's just
crazy.
So much more normalized through the like through all of the state systems. So like we should be teaching cops not to do this, or we should be trying to push the cops of our state to not arrest people for possession of cannabis.
It's literally the first rules from our law that supposedly legalized cannabis. I'll say it off the top of my head. I might butcher the quote a little bit, but I've said it enough that I've got it down. Basically, it says, in the interest of allowing law enforcement to focus on violent and property crime, we, the General Assembly, find that ... They say a few different things, but that cannabis should be legal.
Yeah.
And it's like that, but those first few words are very critically important. And I only learned this from a defense attorney who's had to help to defend people against the criminal justice system. It's a real thing. And that's how we connected. I saw he said, and he'll come up here in a moment. I have a small clip to play with him, but I remember when I first met him, one of the things he said was that he was a cannabis defense attorney, and the year was like 2021, 2020, somewhere around there. And I was like, hold on. Why is that even your job still? That's really when all this got on my radar. It's like, I thought it was legal.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
they still can't figure out what to tell the police officers if they should pull you out of the car for the smell of burnt weed or just regular cannabis smell. Like they don't even know how to deal with the smell of the shit. You know what I mean? So like, how are they going to get any of the rest of it right? If they're trigger happy to pull somebody out of a car because of the scent of cannabis, and I promise you, look at this mug, first of all right, wearing a bandana and everything. If I get pulled over wearing this bandana, they 1000% are pulling me out of the vehicle. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. And every time, like, I carry properly. Like, I'd never carry, like, in my car. It's always in the trunk. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to go anywhere where I need my cannabis that bad. Where, like, so the problem that I'm telling you is that because of cannabis, we still are trying to criminalize somebody. There's no need for you. Even if you smelled cannabis, I'm in a car, and it's not like piled up in the back seat so high that you can't, like, I can't see out the windows. I'm not causing any harm with this thing, So until we kind of change over the simpleness of it, like, well, yeah, you smell like cannabis, get the fuck over it. It'd be like pulling people over for smelling like cigarettes. Oh, you smell like cigarettes. Now I think you're a criminal. Get out of the vehicle and let me find shit in your car that's going to criminalize you. It's a messed up situation.
I mean, Cole's talked about this quite a bit. One of the things that I always, yes, actually, I've gotten kicked out of there for things on my shirt. Chris, sorry, just replying to a comment. Yes, I've definitely gotten kicked out of. I actually met my wife because I got kicked out of a Denny's because my shirt said "fuck" on it. So I went to the other Denny's and met my wife 20 years ago, 23 years ago, something like that. Yeah, crazy. So. Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, but that's freedom of association, Chris. Like, you're in private property rights, for that matter. If you're not following the rules of my private property business, you are free to leave. I am free to not associate with you. It's a voluntary transaction, baby. And if we respect voluntary transactions and we respect private property rights, that leads to prosperity. And there's a lot of proof, a lot of proof that is true.
Yeah. Well, I got a good segue. Just keep the criminalization line going for a second. This isn't something I covered the other night that I meant to, and I was kicking myself. So this is perfect. The Illinois Annual Cannabis Report for 2025, right? And I like this part because this is the Illinois State Police. And I'm gonna give this a read. I'll put it on the screen, on the big screen. So it says, the regulation of cannabis in Illinois continues to impact ISP operations, particularly in the use of canines for criminal enforcement. Following decriminalization on January 1st, 2020, ISP temporarily paused imprinting new canines with the odor of cannabis to evaluate how evolving legislation and court rulings would affect their deployment. This proactive approach prevented the need to replace large number of canines at once. and preserved flexibility about future rulings that favor or restrict cannabis imprinted canines. Today, ISP supports a canine section of nearly 70 canines, some imprinted with cannabis and some not, ensuring the department remains adaptable while closely monitoring the legal landscape. Changes in cannabis legislation, and we're going to skip down just a little bit. They talk about the Supreme Court ruling, which I've covered on the show. I'll try to put those. I'll put a bunch of odor-proof links related to this topic because I've done a lot of coverage on it. But one thing that they talk about is in 2025, the DOP, the Division of Patrol, conducted a thorough analysis of the potential public safety impacts of Senate Bill 42. You remember that bill? It proposed to amend the Illinois Vehicle Code by removing the requirement that cannabis be in an odor-proof container and prohibiting law enforcement from stopping, detaining, or searching a vehicle solely based on the odor of cannabis. I had Senator Rachel Ventura on, who introduced this bill, to discuss why she introduced the bill. And we've definitely, like I said, I'll have a bunch of links in the show notes if people want to check it out. But I'm going to continue this Illinois State Police report, and I want to toss it back to you guys, just because this has been one of the big topics that I didn't have a single story to cover, but I just wanted to cover the topic itself because, that was 2025. That was a big push. So they say, had Senate Bill 42 gained traction and passed, it would have significantly limited troopers' ability to detect cannabis, severely impacting efforts to interdict trafficked drugs and address cannabis-impaired driving, which is hilarious, and I'll say why I think that in a moment. They say such a change would have posed serious risks to public safety for Illinois residents and travelers alike. The division remains vigilant for legislative threats like Senate Bill 42 that could undermine enforcement authority and compromise overall community safety. I'm going to pass it over to you, but the reason I said that I think it's funny that they say address cannabis impaired driving is because Senate Bill 42 had nothing to do with cannabis impaired driving. It wouldn't have allowed for cannabis impaired driving. And they made it clear that I covered this with direct quotes, they at the time were worried about the trafficking of drugs and humans. And they said that if they gave up this access, they wouldn't be able to basically save people from drugs and from human traffickers. I see there's a lot of comments rolling in. So we'll address those after you guys share your takes on the odor proof bill, because that's been a big subject this last year, I mean to say.
I mean, I think you've had some really good thoughts about it, and you've done some fantastic reporting about it. I think it needs to be addressed in Illinois. I think we need to address what is odor proof, what is the correct container, how much are we dedicating enforcement to this. I personally think that once we see this year, and that's been my theme, is taxes. Once the government sees this year that they're not getting as much taxes as they used to get, I think they're going to start being concerned with home growers and people who are doing things with untaxed cannabis. And I think they're gonna fix that with enforcement. That's because that's what history has led us to has happened. It's not like we're like, oh, this is pretend world. This is like typically
this is how they start.
Happens. Right.
They literally start. Their first priority was just what you said.
Yep.
Priority, apparently.
Yeah. So. And so listen to people when they tell you what they're about to do. Just points to all of it. Like the market is not the market that they think it is, and so the sheriff is gonna come for Robin Hood eventually.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've covered some of my stories. Aaron, you've covered some of your stories. I agree with this comment. They say there's no such thing as odor proof, and that's what you'll read if you check out my coverage on the topic. Like they admitted it themselves. I even went and bought a cannabis product and brought it into a hearing, and I tell that whole story in one of the episodes that I'll have linked. And but Dave, I want to get your take on just the topic, but also I want to pass it over to you because we've all shared some stories that caught our attention. I want you to be able to share some stories that caught your attention this year. So
yeah, I'm always for the big medical breakthroughs or the big things that people are doing. So like in Illinois, it was easily the addition of 4 new conditions to allow medical use of cannabis. I don't think that classifying any condition makes the more medical use of cannabis or not, but I think that by adding conditions to the medicinal list, it normalizes the use of this thing for patients, but it also kind of broadens the horizon of what we can be doing research on. And this one here, this was one of my favorites here. The endometriosis, ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, and female orgasmic disorder. Um, it's really cool to see women get the big push in this too for me. Personally, when I was in the cannabis space, we saw tons of women coming through with a bunch of conditions of this nature. And you'll see it on Wednesday. Aaron and I actually talked about it today. It's having access to the medication that actually gives you some comforts and some reliefs. And all of us have a mother, at least, right? Like, and all of us, like, everybody has that direct tie to a woman going through womanly things. So the more that connection between cannabis and women's health gets kind of put together, we may actually see progression in all of these spaces too, So this was a big one for me. I'm a big fan of any progression in the medical space.
Yeah, Dave and I today were looking around page 72 of the I believe that was the Illinois Department of Public Health section of the cannabis report that Cole and I went over last week. That's the one part Cole and I didn't get to, but I got to do it with Dave today. And the numbers were really interesting as far as the year over year. 72 is where it starts.
So if you guys go to the colememo.com, you can
That's
find
right.
this and then just literally type in 72.
Yep.
And anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
And so if you start scrolling down there, it'll show you the numbers of the year numbers of who is enrolled into the medical program and what the actual conditions are. I do think it's going to be interesting to see year over year some of the newer conditions, how many that increases. And there's actually 2 pages of that. But the first one is chronic pain, which is, as Dave talked about today, and as in the biz we call a teaser, you'll see chronic pain is a symptom of all of these conditions here, or can be a symptom of most of these conditions here.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that chronic pain is the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for pointing out those details. Anyways, Dave, I feel like you were in the middle of something, and we went off on a little tangent discussing data, and you were discussing how like this stories that catch your attention are often like the breakthroughs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's.
And we started with that list. That's how we got there.
Mm-hmm. It is this too, and honestly, I think the rescheduling push and some of the verbiage in the rescheduling thing that he wrote, it really does lean towards the medicinal use of cannabis. I think, again, all use and all prolonged use of cannabis is medical use of cannabis, but I was a really big fan of some of the parts of the rescheduling talk. And even then, like the direct out of Trump's mouth himself, when he said like the way that we handle end of life with the the opiate kind of way that we go about letting people go is, it's heartless. It's not very in the moment. And cannabis allows you to be present. It still allows you to pass with dignity, I think is what the words that he might have said. He said it is without dignity that we treat the end of life right now. And for me, it's been something that I experienced and gone through a bunch, but hospice care, and at the end of life treatment, hospice care it can be barbaric, and it seems, yeah, to me, like having an alternative, and to just have on the biggest stage, during the biggest moments of it being talked about, to have the one person that people want to hear it come out of his mouth promote this thing as both medicine and, great for end of life treatment too, is just I think it's huge for cannabis as a whole. So those were really two of my biggest things this year.
And the hemp ban.
Yeah.
The hemp ban.
Real quick before we get to the hemp ban, just
Yeah.
I saw some reporting from Marijuana Moment today that says that the DEA said marijuana rescheduling remains pending despite the executive order. But I should also share that in today's stream of the
Love
Dales Report,
love the Dales Report. Great guys.
Yeah, and I cracked a pretty good joke today. In this, if you watch this live stream, you'll see one of the jokes they feature it that I made on screen. But anyways, that's not what I was meaning to talk about. They had Michael Braunstein on, which he is part of a segment they do called Insider's Edge, and he was asked about this reporting from Marijuana Moment today, and he says he's not concerned about it. It's kind of sort of part of the formal process, and he just sees it moving forward. And I don't know. I whatever happens, I find it interesting. You brought up rescheduling though, and and then you brought up the hemp ban. So, yeah, dude. What are your guys' thoughts about the hemp ban? Definitely curious.
I think it's weird that we do the hemp ban thing, and then we try to do an executive order for rescheduling right afterwards that mentions how we need to allow doctors to give access to hemp-based products. So
It's a really large part of the executive order, I should say.
It is massive.
Hemp and that whole discussion, and he basically, aside from asking the attorney general to take all steps to complete the rulemaking process for Schedule 3, he starts by saying by addressing the hemp ban and basically saying like, hey, sorry, I'm trying to find where it is, and I say he, obviously he did not write this, but they, whatever, the White House, they basically say, Congress, you should really revisit what you've done here, because evidence suggests that the amount of THC in hemp-derived cannabinoid products can affect both pain treatment and efficacy. And so basically it sounds like, it will still go into effect in, less than 364 days, probably like 320 or something at this point. But it definitely, this encourages Congress to take up the issue. Who knows though if they will? Obviously there's some stuff going down in
that does not surprise me
right now.
That does not surprise me at all. The DEA has said what that they hold exclusive final authority on whether something changes, regardless of an executive order or not. And there's been legal briefs, and they've been very explicit about what they say is going to happen. So we'll see. And then people like Smart Approaches to Marijuana. They've hired somebody that believes that they have a pretty good case to battle against this as well. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think we'll actually see if rescheduling really happens or not. Like, we've been hearing about it for years. Like, now we're at the door, but like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to share something that our commenters Jared. I've done a lot of coverage on the hemp ban issue, at least in Illinois, the attempted hemp bans, we should call them in Illinois. So if you want to read about that, just go to thecolememo.com and search up hemp, I guess. So yeah, my whole thought on it is I don't know. I guess I don't see it going back to the way that it is, which is just absolutely fine, to be completely honest. If you find a good source, I enjoy it. Like, I've got some drinks behind me. I thought about popping one open in this stream. I was actually literally just about to step away and go grab a can, but I love them. They are, 50 milligram cans. They're awesome. They've got a QR code. I never check them because I also never check it for any other weed that I purchase, but it's cool to know it's there, I guess, if you want to check that out. And I that's, people get really caught up in it. And I think it's all about the idea that people really get caught up. I see it all the time. I literally even saw it in the comment section of the Dales Report today. They're like, we need to make hemp, industrial again, basically, like, only rope, not dope. And it's like, I understand what they mean, and that's typically what I
want hemp straws, and I want hemp plastics, and I want to talk about herd, and I want to talk about hemp bedding, and I want to talk about hempcrete, because I've seen and touched every single one of those things at my local hemp farm. And like, thank goodness that I was in the right place at the right time, and hemp was legal, and I got to see the amazing things that hemp could do. And like, why are we not? Somebody on Dave's Thursday night show, I think, asked one time, why are we not using hemp packaging for all the cannabis stores? Like, this is all things that we could be doing to just really move it. And as you've said before, we need hemp to push cannabis forward, because before hemp we couldn't get any good tasting edibles or drinks, and now because of that we can, because we can move it forward with hemp.
Right. Well, I mean,
like,
go ahead,
hemp is American, hemp is as American as apple pie.
I just want, and I'll piggyback. We did used to be able to pay our taxes with hemp back in the day. Not you and I, but in American history. But I will just respond to what Penny said there with people don't realize their stuff's about to go away. No, it's honestly not. From what I've been seeing, it's all still massively out there. All of the no brands have stopped making their products. No, they're waiting to hear what the
Ben Kovler just bought a new ad for Christmas and stuff on the building for Benny's. It's a big painting on the side of I-80. I mean, I know it's Ben Kovler, but
well, and literally, I don't see, and I hear what you're saying when you say the first of next year, but it's not that, because once the regulations come about, and they still have not figured out that the hemp plant, that the cannabis plant, that whatever they want to call it, is a producer of something called cannabinoids. And depending on how that thing is played with or extracted or whatever, yes, we can make rope and concrete and all of the things, but we can also make consumables from it. And the consumables, depending on how you consume them and depending on what limitations they put the packaging numbers at, you will still be able to get your cannabinoids from multiple sources by the end of next year, by the end of this year, by the beginning of next year, through next year. The hemp industry is really good at doing what they're doing, and the people are very innovative. And I believe that by the time that it all comes to fruition, they'll go, okay, how much does per serving, how much does each package get? And now I'll just make my packaging so that it's available for you to still do the thing that you've been doing with our consumable forever.
Now, and now, It is a weird year, but I do want to point out, because I know that Boris of Cureleaf, they reported that they were going to get out of the hemp game and they were going to close the hemp company store. So we do see one major player, one of the top, say, 5 in the United States, I guess that's probably fair to say, right? Exiting the hemp. But I do want to remind people, and it was reported, I think, specifically today about Kim Rivers of Trulieve, how specifically she was fairly instrumental in this rescheduling thing. I want to remind you that Trulieve launched a hemp drink last year. So we also see players in the game who seem to be pretty instrumental in some of these things, participating in the hemp market as well. So, I mean, it's, I think it remains to be seen.
I thought
'Cause-
Curaleaf closed their retail stores,
Mhm.
but they weren't destroying their entire hemp business model. So
I think they said they were getting out of the hemp drink game. Somebody tell me I'm wrong, please, if I am.
Yeah, that's fine.
I recall reading that they were like backing off of it. I can't remember if they said they were like total, like they weren't going to like advance it anymore. But
they're-
I think
they're
with the
closing
ultimate
their
goal of
Florida
shutting
store.
it down.
Yeah, they're closing their Florida
Yes.
store, the THC. We reported on that for sure.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. They're retail establishments that were very much so towing the line between a recreational dispensary and a hemp place, right? Like, it
But
was
good. Like, that's what we need to push it forward
Right.
for everybody else.
And it's cool because like Rise is doing something like that at the Salt
Shed.
yeah, 100%.
And they were
Yeah,
going to, yeah.
Yeah, I've got buddies. I've got local shops that are still hemp distributors. That their whole business model, their entire, and through local government also, they don't mind as much. So as long as he's not being belligerent, and people have never come back and said this guy got me intoxicated past what I wanted to be, or he sold me a bunk product that got me sick, or anything. As long as he stays within his guidelines, he's been doing some pretty cool things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
To just finish off an analogy I was making earlier, like my thing is call it hemp, cannabis, dope, whatever. It honestly really doesn't matter to me. I get why people get confused, and it seems like literally, if it's not for a profit reason because you think they're undercutting them, the only other people that I've seen that actually get like upset about this issue is because they just truly don't understand that the definition is arbitrary.
Mhm.
Like hemp and marijuana are made up terms.
Yes.
It's like, we call animals like cows and pigs. Like, I'm not going to call them their
Bovine,
Their genus name.
their genus and species. Like, I'm not going to, get all binomial nomenclature about everything. So we get a little shorthand sometimes. And it's like, look, not only have I heard multiple songs like historically that reference smoking hemp, like, for example, and this is just a fun one, Dr. Dre being like, we're from the Sunshine State where all the bomb ass hemp be. And then you have like a clip like this, which from like the 1990s, there's several references, and it doesn't matter. The point I'm just making is that the terms are arbitrary. It's slang. And here we go.
Most of this week's program is about a common plant, hemp. Hemp is a plant that has been illegal to grow in the United States since 1937. One of the uses for the hemp plant is marijuana. There are also many other uses for hemp, including making paper.
I mean, look, if you want to get technical about it, call it what it is, which is, and actually I'm going to have to pop quiz all of us, I guess, because I don't know the answer, so I failed the pop quiz. But it's either type 1 through type 5 cannabis, and one of them is what people think of when they think of hemp, when they think of like look at Hemp for Victory produced by the federal government, like those tall fibrous plants. That's what people think of when they think of hemp, and I understand the confusion. But what people failed to understand was that it was that it led to advances like this can behind me, where I could get weed, legitimately weed, even from like weed companies in this state, delivered to my door, paying with my credit card. They could use a bank. They could accept credit cards. They didn't have to do 280E, like all these good things. And I don't really care about the industry side, to be completely honest. What I thought was cool, and I did this at the premiere of my mini doc at Blue Island, is brought a cooler full of hemp drinks. Like, it gets real complicated when you do that with regulated cannabis. Not complicated at all with hemp. Have a hemp drink. I gave people like fucking 6-packs. Take it on the road. Don't drink it on the road, but take it on the road. Take them home. Share them with your family. Like, I was literally was able to do that. Thankfully to like a person that provided the drinks. I'll give them a shout out. It was River Bluff. They provided a shit ton of drinks. It was awesome. And it was cool that we were able to like respond just like we would do with anything else. Like, if you go to a tailgate, people bring more beer or alcohol than they plan to consume, and it's just like totally an okay thing. And that's all this was. And with regulated cannabis, my point is, it's not that easy. It's very complicated.
And with the banning of hemp, we're seeing the takeover of cannabis, into the corporation of the United States. We're still arresting people. Used to say hemp is legalization. Like, hemp is real legalization. That's something that, Cole, you've said a lot on your podcast, and it was true for the home growers as well, because it's like, hey, like, I don't have to freak out so much because legacy growers will know, like, and remember that, enforcement is very real, and they will bust you for having 5 or 6 plants in your basement and say that it's, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you've ever grown a plant and harvested its buds for anything, whether it's, basil or cannabis or whatever, it's like hops or whatever. It's just some like dried buds in your hand that you have. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? Why is the government enforcing itself upon us? And that's what they're seeing. That's what we're seeing here. We're seeing the corporate takeover, the reinforcement of it. It's all coming.
To push Cole's statement, cannabis, hemp, marijuana, weed, I don't care what you call the plant, but who does care what you call the plant are the people who are taxing it and the people who are regulating it. And for the rest of us, it makes it very cloudy for what it's interpretable, right? And that's why I keep telling everybody, like, as long as these interpretations of the thing exist, as long as they keep putting out there, not you and I, the government, the people writing the laws, keep putting out into law arbitrary numbers and dumbass things that don't equate to what this plant actually is, it will always allow for the loophole for us to have access to the thing, right?
And to just briefly extend that point I was making earlier, like, if we want to be technical about that, and I think you'll appreciate this thought, Dave. Like, again, whatever the classification is, I don't know if anybody, I couldn't see if anybody commented it. I can't remember which type that's like that fibrous type. I think it's like type 4 maybe, or something like that. Let's just say it's type 4, and you guys Google the different types of cannabis and figure out that I'm wrong or I'm right, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is that, and I just Googled this, and this is an AI summary, so this could also be wrong, but I had the idea. I was like, because I remember, brief tangent, a place that I worked, people would come here, travel, and they had never seen cornfields before. And so they like would ask me to like, could you take a picture of us all standing in front of this huge ass cornfield? I'm sure. So I take the picture, and they're like, how do you guys not just like go out there and grab a bag and bags full of it and take it home and just, have your corn for the winter? And it's like, all that corn is for ag feed, right? So it looks like sweet corn, I guess, to a layman, but it ain't. And my point is, there's my country. It ain't. But my point is, there are different tax levels for, just based on a Google, that could be wrong, and people should do their own research. But for corn for human consumption and corn for animal consumption, or like production, or I guess in diesel, like, that makes sense to me. And if we want to categorize it that way, because like you say, the government's going to want to, then I think the framework we should use is that scale of type 1 to 5 or whatever it is, and drop this silly binary of marijuana and hemp. I mean, it's all cannabis, like we said, but it's the type of cannabis that you're growing, I think, is how we have to start distinguishing this.
Yeah. And like I said, I've I'm an advocate for get rid of all of it and just call it cannabis like it is. And, if you want to have like you said, a class 4 fibrous license where you can only grow the fibers of it, and a class 3 where you can grow, maybe CBD and whatever, and then whatever it is. I don't know what the class scale is, but if that's what it takes for people to separate and understand that there are multiple parts of what you can do with this thing, right? You can make everything from paper. The big thing that I get really hung up on, and my brain just over races when I start to talk about this. I care about cannabis so much in the personal use side of it, and to give people medicinal comforts, that I forget the fact that so many massive industries could be impacted by this. And one of them is like the deforestation shit, right? Like we could 100% cut back on the use of trees for paper, for lumber, for all kinds of things if we just allowed the growing of and what's it called when you cycle through crops, and like cannabis can go in the middle. It might be a cycle crop, I don't know, but cannabis.
A rotation crop. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, perfect. Cannabis could even be, or hemp, fibrous hemp, or whatever it is, could be a great rotation crop to help kind of build back the soil levels and everything. Cannabis is really good at extracting heavy metals and shit out of the ground. So like, it's just a wonderful plant in so many different ways and can be used for so many things. The fact that we underutilize it due to both propaganda of the intoxicative parts of it, but the misunderstanding and the misrepresentation of the fibrous parts of it too, where classifying it as hemp based off of cannabinoids or whatever, it gets so confusing and so almost intimidating to be a part of it, that we are not doing this plant justice, or we're not cultivating it at the level that I think we should. Where earlier in the segment, somebody said treat this more as tomatoes and not alcohol. That is what the progression of this thing I'd like to see, where it is an agricultural crop. It's just a crop, and how we consume it and how we use it is completely left up to us individually. And if the medical society wants to get their hands involved and really become normalized in their ways of dosing something, then I'm all for it if it actually pans out to be true. But what we see in like the medical space a lot of times is it's per individual, per strains, per doses. There's so many different things that go into what makes cannabis, what gives this thing the life in the body, and why when I talk about it a lot, we all have way more space to grow into cannabis yet. We haven't even scratched the surface of what it's capable of. And, like I said, the major industries that it could impact, the paper industry, right? Everything is still paper, dude. All the schoolwork, all the newspapers, all the things we use paper for, fiber, clothing, right? It could impact the clothing industry. It could impact the oil industry. We can make oils off of this thing, combustible oils from this thing. It can impact the livestock. It's a great feed. It's got great proteins. There's so many industries. The housing industry could be impacted by the use of cannabis and hemp in the proper ways. And we just have misrepresented it so far down a path where, like, we're sitting here trying to talk it out like hemp or cannabis or marijuana, or it's just cannabis. It's one plant. It is multiple plants, right? Cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, cannabis ruderalis. They are different species of the genus, I believe. But for the love of God, let's stop confusing it. This plant is far better than what people have regulated it for. And like I said earlier, we were talking about 24 years in prison for less possession than 5 bottles of water. Like, it just doesn't, the way that they've made this plant out to be, it's sickening, it's gross, And again, like I said too, I think it's less than 90. I remember reading a report about it before, but it's like minuscule amounts of criminalization for cannabis is over 10 pounds. So like less than a bag of potatoes worth of fucking cannabis is incarcerating people for life sentences. Where who deserves to be caged for the possession, the consumption, the growing of the production? Like, how is it that this thing is criminalized at the rate that it is? Why is it that we have allowed, as constituents of America at least, or even the state, to be taxed at the rate that it is? Like, the way that they stop taxing this is that people stop buying it from like Illinois. You don't quit going to Illinois dispensaries, and then they'll figure out that their tax rate is ridiculous. But they've made it convenient, and the consumption of this thing is so good. I love cannabis, and as long as I have access to it, and as long as I'm not treated like some top of the line criminal, a murderer or a trafficker or something, because of my minuscule possessions or my consumption of it, like, it's just like you and me. We're all like, we're good. As long as I can do it, then I'm fine. But I'd like to see it go up the scale all the way to where, it impacts all of it. It may just, again, deforestation too, right? Like, all the way from deforestation to fucking me and you puffing on the little things we have in our hands right now.
Right. Well said. Well, on that note, I honestly think it's a perfect way to sort of wrap the show. I got to run. I just got a message a little bit ago, so I got to wrap a little bit quicker than I had originally planned. So I do apologize if you guys had other stories on your list. Did we cover most of them?
I think we covered most of the big ones. I think there's an overall story there as far as just looking back about what happened in 2025 and what we can probably expect in 2026.
Hell yeah. It's going to be an interesting year, and I look forward to the next time we do the Three Dope Dudes podcast. Maybe we plan another one at the start of the legislative session.
Sure.
And see, if there's anything that's going to move forward. Everybody, the word on the street I'm hearing is, now that hemp's out of the way, it's going to be easy for, the Illinois cannabis industry to light is wigging out. It's going to be easy for the Illinois cannabis industry. We're strobing in here.
As long as it's not a fire.
Yeah, no fire. It's just one.
You got to get
just go
fan
rave
on that thing, dude.
Yeah, I guess
so. The system is down.
Nah, it's chill. I think it's just trying to strobe me.
Look at it in the eyes, bro.
It says it's party time. Yeah, I had to just look at it in the eyes.
Before you wrap, honestly, Cole, Three Dope Dudes is some of the funnest stuff we do. And, sorry it was the end of the year and we kind of threw it on you to say, hey, let's get something together. But we really enjoy doing this with you. Sorry we didn't get to plan it out. Let's plan it out better for the next one. And but like, honest to gosh, thanks for doing what you do and the reporting. And we have a lot of fun doing this with you as well. And thank you for sure,
dude. Thanks, I appreciate that. And Dave, both of you, I appreciate both of you and the work you do. I tune in every week. It's always a great time. Like I say, it gets me through my week. So I just want to say that again for folks that are tuning in from my side of the house. Go to supportdopepeople.com to support dope people like Aaron and Dave. They've got their shows. You can go to both of them. Aaron and Dave drop a show every Wednesday, but then Dave goes live every Thursday on Peace, Love, and Cope, which is linked on supportdopepeople.com as well. So go on over there, give them some love, support them. And thank you seriously for the kind words and for doing this. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
we'll make it happen. Like I say, if not the legislative session, I'm sure there's going to be other things that come up that we should discuss. So we'll have to.
Fantastic, dude.
I look forward to it. Honestly, I'll yeah, I just want to say again, thank you too. I'll just repeat what Aaron was saying. It really is some of my favorite times to sit and chat with you, with the both of you about cannabis. Like, yeah, I think both of you have a very good understanding, and you show the passion the way that I like to see around this plant, and it means a lot to me. So you both mean a lot to me. I just want to say thanks again. And everybody that's commenting, like,
Yeah.
the communities that support all of us, I can't thank you enough. You know, this plant means the world to me, and it means even more to some people who haven't had access to it yet. They don't even know the medical benefits of it. They don't even know, you know, the textile. They don't know the plant at all. So
it's good to see people still care.
Yeah. All of your normalizing of it is greatly appreciated. I love you all. Again, Cole, thanks for your time today, dude.
Yeah. Thank you all for your time, and thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button from wherever you're streaming from, it helps us. It helps all of us. It gets more eyes on our content, apparently. That's what they say. So
that's what they say.
Smash it.
Who knows?
And drop a comment, you know, share with your friends. And we appreciate all of you for tuning in tonight for this episode of Three Dope Dudes. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.